Hello, hello. Welcome to Mondays with Tara and André. Today, how to have a holly poly holiday, and we're going to start in just a moment. All right, all right.
All right.
Hello, André.
Hello, Tara.
Welcome to Mondays with Tara and André.
Welcome.
Oh,
Oh, we're on a delay here.
There we go.
All right. Awesome.
Okay.
Good Monday morning.
Hi, good Monday morning to you.
11 a.m. Eastern. Here we are.
Here we are. So, welcome to Mondays with Tara and André. I'm Tara Lynn Franco, relationship and awesomeness coach.
You are awesome. And I'm
Thank
André
you.
Turcotte. I am a registered psychotherapist, sex positive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We come here live every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, sharing our tips on how to have amazing, open, and polyamorous relationships. Like
Our tips and our mistakes.
our tips and our mistakes.
Yeah, we're not infallible, right?
Well,
we messed up pretty well.
For sure. That's
Yeah.
why we're here. We want to share what we've learned and how we've grown through this experience so that you can have similar experiences to feel connected, secure, and satisfied and awesome.
Yeah. It's so good to make mistakes, right? It frees you from the idea that you can't make a mistake, and then you can learn from it. So it's good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think I spent a lot of my time trying to be perfect. I actually heard someone say that term the other day about being perfect, and in a couple we were talking to that are in our group program talked about wanting to be perfect in their open relationship, and it was interesting to ask them what that meant to them. So
yeah, it's a great question. What happens when we're not perfect?
Yeah, well, I don't think anybody can be perfect, and what is perfect? Perfect might be different for someone and different for us. So,
but the expectation of being perfect, right? The pressure that we put upon ourselves with this idea of being perfect, and what happens if we fall short of it. Whereas if we aim to be less than perfect, but pretty cool, that'd be all right too, right?
Yes.
It'd be a lot less pressure.
Exactly. Well, today's topic, given the holidays, is how to have a holly poly holiday. And so before we jump in, we'd love to ask you, I see some people are in the comments. So hopefully, you can see us. Good morning, Drang. What are you excited for? Are you excited for or worried about the holidays? So we did ask that question in the group. There are some people very excited about certain things.
And some people freaked out by it with all the pressures, right? A lot of stressors come up, a lot of being pulled in different directions.
Exactly, which is why we're talking about that topic today. So 1 for hell yes, I'm excited, and 2 for worried, and 3 for a little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, so drop your answer in the comments at any point, whether you're watching in the replay or you're watching this live. Yeah.
I just gotta say, ho 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 is not for just the holidays.
Exactly. Well, while people are dropping their answers, speaking of excited, we are super excited because we have 2 very exciting announcements.
We do?
We do.
Tell me about them. Tell us, what are the exciting
Well, we'd love people to mark their calendars for January 3rd, Monday. Same place, same time we are here, 11 a.m. We're going to be having a special Jealousy Freedom Masterclass. So we'll broadcast as usual to Let's Talk Polyamory and to some of our other channels. But what's special about this time is that we're actually having a VIP experience where you can join us in a private Zoom room. So that means you'll be in the Zoom with us, talking. We'll be talking about jealousy and how to free yourself and feel more secure in your relationships. And then we'll also, if you do register and join us in the Zoom room, you'll get a complimentary jealousy workbook. So you can work through the things that we are talking about.
So January 3rd, the holidays are over. Boom, we're getting right back to work. Let's get on this. Let's see how we're going to influence 2023 to make it stellar.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But it's gonna be fun though, right? It's not just a lot of work.
It's not. It's going to be fun.
Okay.
It's always fun. with
It's true.
us.
It is
It's always fun.
It is. It
But
is.
we want you to start off 2023 feeling like secure and awesome in your relationships. And you might have had a hard holiday, depending on if this is your first poly holiday or not,
Sure.
or family stuff, because I think that happens.
Well, I think speaking about jealousy and the holidays and stuff, we're going to talk about that. If you have any form of hierarchy that you are participating in, or you are by extension in, what happens in that time? So, I have an invite to a dinner and it's a +1. How am I going to negotiate that with the other +1s that I might have in my life?
Exactly. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But I want to, get to our second exciting announcement.
What's the second?
Information on how to register for Jealousy Freedom will come this week. If you want information, you want us to let you know when that link is live, drop freedom, the word freedom, in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get you that information. The second exciting announcement, I don't know if people saw it in the group, but we are offering a free complimentary 45-minute relationship rescue call. That's with me. So on this call, this is, again, if you don't want to wait until January 3rd to work things out, you can grab this call. So what we do on this call is we talk about what kind of issues are going on in your relationship, what their possible causes are, and give you an action plan of next steps that you can do on your own or with our help. And you can book that call via this link. We'll make sure we drop it in the chat, but it's basically go.taraandre.com/relationship rescue.
Fantastic. So on this call, you're going to talk about the possible state of the relationship and actions that they can take immediately.
Yeah, we want people to get into action. There's always value out of talking to someone and getting a different perspective. And so lots of people have taken us up on this offer. And we wanted to offer that for this next week before Christmas, just to get you set up for success. Because,
awesome.
You want to make sure that the holidays are in fact jolly. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
So speaking of jolly, let's jump into today's topic.
Okay.
Yeah. So you alluded to this, but the holiday season is upon us, which means time spent with friends and family and lovers and that sort of thing. But it also has the possibility to mean a few other things. So what kinds of things? You alluded to one of them, so maybe you want to share that again.
Well, speaking about the where, when, and who. So,
briefly.
Okay, very briefly. Many people in the West here will celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah. Well, let's say Christmas, because it might be, or New Year's. Those are 2 days where it is that day, right? So who will you spend?
It's an actual holiday.
Right. Who will you spend Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day with, or New Year's Eve with? Okay. So there is a date and a choice that might have to be made. So ideally, you would have everybody with you and loving, but you might have to make a decision. How are you going to do that? Is there consideration that someone's going to feel left out or hurt?
Okay, so that's number one. We're going to get into the details. You're jumping in a little too much there, Andre. We just wanted to give an intro. So three things: having to make tough choices about who and where and when to spend the holidays, how to deal with family members that don't necessarily agree with your relational choices. So I have personal experience with that, which I will talk about. Yeah. And then how to de-stress and have some sexy fun over the holidays. So so you do get to enjoy it and not feel like you're stressed with all the obligations. So all of our hot holiday tips today. All right. So let's jump in. So you got us a good start. So let's start with the where, when, and who.
Well, so where is it going to happen? I think that's possibly already in the invite. I don't feel like I really have to worry so much about the where, unless, like in our case, we have 2 cities. We're by city, right? So we come here, we go there. Where are we going to be?
Bisexual and by city.
Sure. Say, for example, we were nesting and, my family find it important to be together for the holidays and your family finds it important to be. How are we going to negotiate? Whose place are we going to go to? Where are we going to be? So are we going to be able to have that open dialogue about it? Do my considerations come with, well, is it going to, feel difficult for you to come to my place for that? Or do I just give in and say, well, I'll go to your place because I know it'd be easier for you? How are we going to negotiate that? Same with the who of it. Right. So, if you are in a one-on-one monogamous relationship, maybe it makes it easier in that sense because we are together and we go to it, and where becomes kind of secondary.
Well,
the who might be.
I was just, if I can interrupt for
Please.
just 1 second, I was just going to say, you said even if you're in a monogamous relationship, when I've been in monogamous relationships before, because my partner has family in different cities,
Mhm.
it was all about like, where do you go? Where was important, and who you
Right.
spend Christmas Day with versus Christmas Eve. And there still was tough choices to be made, but you had to make them. So now
Right.
we're opening up to a broader thing. So you may have, like you said, your nesting partner and that sort of thing. So there might be considerations, but you might also have solo partners.
Uh-huh. Right. So when you were married and you had that consideration, it was the two of you, and it was complicated enough. Now
Mhm.
you put into the mix, you have, a partner who may be a solo person, or you have my metamors who are connected to you. You want to spend
Mhm.
time with them as well, and it might just complicate it that much further.
Yeah.
So how do poly people navigate the holidays? Scheduling, even during the regular months of the year,
Yes.
there's the question of being polysaturated, right? You want to hang with the person, you look at each other's calendars, and it's just not that viable. So how are you going to do it? And what do we do if we are not the chosen one, right? So you and I hang out on occasion, like to get together. Your other partner says to you, let's hang out, and you accept their invite. And then I figure I'm coming down the pike here, and hey, what are you doing? And oh, you've made plans. All right, well, I'm glad for you. Have fun with it. But now maybe my tree and myself are kind of alone that night. What do I do with those feelings? There's a lot to unpack here.
So I think you said the magic word there, plan. So
Uh,
I know planning doesn't sound like super exciting, but I think that it's important in the case where you have multiple partners and you have considerations around holidays and what's going on. So even people who don't
mm,
celebrate Christmas, for example, they make time off.
sure.
So that might mean traveling, doing things, etc. So we'd love to hear from people what you do. But I think one of the possible solutions, similar to what you would do during regular time, is to plan in advance. So, plan your times out. So if you know that you have obligations and you're wanting to keep those obligations with family, then can you create opportunities for special times with your other partners
Mhm.
around those times, around and making sure that that's also a priority. So I think that's important.
Drawing Pope put an interesting comment. He's saying that he doesn't celebrate Christmas like many of us, and yet with this Christian calendar, there is already the default setting that the 25th will be allotted to that celebration, right? But what
Mhm.
happens if you don't participate in that and you have a different time? Well, can you negotiate your own when as to do these things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you can, so for example, you don't typically celebrate Christmas.
No.
And so being with your family on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve is not a day that's important to you, but it is important to me.
Right.
So,
But right away, I think and you're being very candid about it. So I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but or out of school. But your situation is interesting because you have a very good relationship with your parents for the most part, but they don't necessarily subscribe to your lifestyle choices, right? Your
exactly.
relationship
Mhm.
way of being, and yet you want to go there and maintain, a family relationship like you've had for all these years.
Yeah.
And there's this one issue that's underneath the tree that nobody really wants to touch,
Underneath the tree,
and yet
wrapped
it's
in
still there.
black paper.
Right, with danger signs all over it. The first thing we should open up is the last thing that might remain unopened over there. So, uh, the who, what, where, and when of that comes up. Like, so, who's not going to be there at this event,
Mhm.
and when are we ever going to talk about this difficult question?
Mhm.
And what's it like to be there and not talk about it? How do we
Mhm.
navigate this when, for the other 11 months, the position has been known that they're not in favor of it, but now all these considerations are lifted in the spirit of coming together for the holidays. We want to be together. That's wonderful. We
Mhm.
should. But how do we go about navigating it? Or do we simply uh, let sleeping dogs lie for this event come together? How are we going
Well,
to do it?
I think for me, I mean, we have to talk. I want to talk about that in number two,
Okay.
but I do want to go to the part that you not being there. So
Mm.
that's the who is missing in those situations. So you don't typically celebrate Christmas, but part of me still wants you to be there, and I sometimes feel alone at
Mhm.
Christmas because I don't have my primary partner there, my person, and so it has always felt that way. And then layered on top of that now is a feeling that I think you feel unwelcome to come, even if it wasn't Christmas. Would that be correct?
Given what has been said and transpired, yeah, I think that's
Mhm.
accurate feeling.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
So
it.
for me, it's hard for me to be there by myself,
Mhm.
knowing that, and then also the underlying things around when your family doesn't agree with your relational choices, which is a good sort of segue into the number two part, because I think a few people have this situation
Yeah.
in the group.
You know, it's interesting to me hearing you say that you're going to go to their venue and they don't agree with your relationship choice. But what about your perhaps not agreeing with their relationship choice? Does that ever come on the table? It made me think about we were talking about marriage and being poly, and I think it came with the idea of insurance companies recognizing one partner,
Mhm.
and it is the default setting that you can couple with somebody now. Because we are so progressive, we might even allow for same-sex marriages, but still it's a one-on-one model. What happens if you have two people that you love and want to be coupled
Mhm.
and recognized in that way, and you might not be, right?
Mhm.
You can have to make a choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, even when I had insurance, I wanted to put you on my insurance, and they were very particular that we live in the same, we have the
Mhm.
same mailing address.
Right.
And I was like, what does that relevant? We are, at the time, we didn't have the same mailing address, so
Mhm.
it wasn't an issue. Like, it wasn't a, it's like, well, I have this partner who's my primary partner in all things, except that we don't live in the same space. We choose to have separate
Mhm.
residences, but we are just as much and just as close as we might be if we were married and nesting.
Yeah. So what would happen if we were married and nesting, and then decided, well, you know what, we work well having a little bit of separation, a little bit of space from each other? Would that somehow make our relationship now invalid?
Yeah.
Right? And the idea of this mono one-to-one being the standard, that if we should choose to express this and want to opt for this bond, this marriage with a third, now we are breaking the law. We are polygamous, right? We are
Mm.
going into dangerous territory. But why should it be the automatic setting? And I talk about this because it comes back to this one-on-one agreement that we have, these nonverbal agreements, that coming home for the holidays, you would bring your spouse, singular, with you
Mhm.
to this event. It couldn't be a girlfriend, couldn't be just a casual lover friend. It should be, the traditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we even talked about it today. Like, even, without all this stuff with my family, you didn't come to Christmas anyway. So you had suggested, one of my partners is going to be solo for the first time this year. And you said, well, why don't you bring them with you? Because they were saying, oh, this is the first Christmas I'm going to be, even if they don't even celebrate Christmas, but it's the first holiday where they're by themselves. And you're like, well, why don't you invite them? And I was like, well, that's interesting. I think that though might inflame my parents a bit more.
Maybe that'd be the gift that you give yourself then. Drawing Poe asks another great question. So if your family doesn't like your poly partners, would you still invite them? The family members or the poly partners?
He means the poly
I
partners,
know,
I think.
but I'm wondering if I should invite my family. I mean, what if we turn it over and say, like, well, this is my situation. These are my beliefs, and you're welcome to come join me. I can tolerate the idea that you're not invested in this, and I'm hoping that maybe you'd be able to tolerate
Mhm.
mine as well.
Well, that might be an approach I could take this year.
Mhm.
It is a tough spot though. Your parents are funny, right? Parents.
Well, do we have to raise our parents to be the parents we want them to be?
Well, exactly. And I think
Mhm.
that's been what I've been trying to do over the past, I think it's been over a year now since I
I think it's been
came out.
closer to 2.
Almost close. Yeah, I think it
Mhm.
was April 2021 that I came out. So it is a tough spot to be in. And I'm just curious if anyone else is in this situation. So you can drop that in the chat and how you're going to deal with it. I think I was mentioning to someone in the group, the place that I've come to is that I understand, and I think you've helped me a lot with this, is that my parents may not ever totally agree or understand or accept my choices. I think my mom sometimes reminds me of that if something comes up. But I think for my part, what I like to do is remind them and just demonstrate that I'm the same person I was before. And I just keep doing that.
Yeah,
And
your actions, right, are the same. You
Mhm.
were a loving, considerate, generous person before. You make this announcement. You're
Mhm.
still that loving, generous, considerate person.
Mhm. And what I try to do, and maybe this is a bit sneaky of me, is I do slip in examples of situations with other partners where they've demonstrated love and how important I am to them. And because I think my parents, and probably like many parents out there who grew up monogamous, believe that it's all about the sex, where they don't understand the relationship part of it. So
it's so much more than just the sex.
Yeah.
But for me, one of the biggest parts in listening to this is not so much that they should embrace, subscribe, or fully accept your position, but more that they should at least be tolerant of it. I'm not asking other people to step in the same steps that I do, and they can have their way about it, but just that we would be allowing of each other without the temptation of judgment, but we'd be with an open heart and say, well, maybe it's not my path, but if it's working for them and they're satisfied in this, then I will try and tolerate that, at least, as compared to saying, this is immoral and disgusting and we're not wanting you or your friends to be in this.
Yeah. Now, I think my folks have shifted a bit from that position, and there is a willingness to kind of work through things, but I think we haven't had an opportunity to really talk to them together about that.
Right. Yeah. Which is the idea that we, again, need to go back to our number one tenet, which is communication, communication, communication. So how can we then invite each other to the table where we can start talking about these very difficult situations, right? We are very polarized. I wholeheartedly believe in polyamory, and they really subscribe to this other view. And how can we find any degree of commonplace where we can moderate some type of acceptance or tolerance for you?
Yeah.
It's difficult for you being in between these two.
It is.
Yeah.
I want you to be included. I want them to know the awesome you that you are. You're such an amazing and special person. And I feel like they miss out that opportunity to know that about you. Why are you laughing?
Well, because it makes me think that the first 3 or 4 years before you announced it, they thought that you and I were kind of coupled-ish, and I seemed to be well favored. I was, offered to come in. And then when you made the announcement, I felt as though I was the perfect target to be villainized, that I was the one that was corrupting you and caused you to be this way, even though you pointed out to them that you were much like this way before you met me.
I think the last time I was home, I had a conversation about my mom. Like every time there's like a little bit of a conversation, at least my mom's open to talking about it, even if she doesn't accept it. And she's like, I don't agree with your choices. She does listen. I think she tries to listen and understand. But what's interesting, Durang is saying about her parents being brought up with the concept of sluts. It's hard on their belief system, especially when it's the daughter. What a harsh situation. Sure. Yeah. But
it's such double standard, right? For guys score it up, it's like, oh, that's my son. Girls, it's horrible. It's like,
although your dad was still confused about the idea too, not quite understanding.
Somebody said that at the party on Saturday, talking to their parents, and their parents didn't get the concept of poly. And they're like, so wait a second, like you guys are allowed to cheat? And we're like, no, there's no cheating. That's the ethical part of this, that we get to be honest about it. It's consensual.
Yeah. In fact, I was doing some research for our jealousy workshop, and I was there was people talking about how to deal with jealousy. And one of the things they talked about was about the communication part of it. And when you're monogamous, you have this assumed fidelity, but then people cheat anyways, right? And so in this case, jealousy may come up, but you may never ever totally deal with it, because you still have this underlying, well, we have fidelity, so we shouldn't be jealous. Whereas when you are polyamorous, I guess the argument was that you have an opportunity to talk and work through these things and understand yourself better. So,
but to your point earlier, the idea of being in monogamy, it's actually part of the vows that we take, right? We swear off that we will never be with anybody else ever, which is interesting. Although, and we're setting this up, we have a couple of people in our group here that are married, and we're going to be talking to them about what it's like to be young and in poly relationships, married.
Yeah. I'm hoping they can do that. The other people we want to talk to is someone else we met at the party who grew up with parents that were in a closed quad.
Right.
And so that
was open about it.
Very open about it. That was their life.
Yeah.
And so I would love to talk to them about their experience, because we know that there's a lot of you out there that have kids and are and maybe are still closeted about your relationship, and you want to share, but you don't want to, cause something, hard time on your kids. But for this person, it was so normalized.
It was normalized. And what's interesting is the consideration that many of the people that have kids here, and as you say, are closets, they're not quite sure how to announce it. What impression might it make on their kids? Well, this person was telling us that their parents, as you say, were in a quad and very open about it. What impression did it make on them? They see polyamory as a viable choice, but not necessarily where they're wanting to go yet, or who knows what. But it's the idea that it's open, it's normalized, and it doesn't feel as though it has to be covert and perverted in the back alleys. That it is just as viable.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to the Saturday and just all the people that were at that party and how loving and amazing and open and stuff was it. And it's like, this is what it's all about. We should feel this good all the time.
I wonder how your parents would see that. Right?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, it was interesting because for those of you know, I turned 50 in July, and my parents came to the, yes.
I gotta check your password.
You're so cute. And they came for the early part of the party, and then people started to come, and then they met a bunch of our friends that are really close friends, but also our intimate partners as well. And they were just saying how great our friends were. And my mom said at one point, she's like, well, I don't know how many of those people are your like sexy friends, or I don't know how she said it. She said, but they were all really nice. And I was like, see, demonstrating. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
I wonder how she could ever witness the sense of community, that love that they have for you, but for each other, and that we check in on each other, not just with the motive of having sex, but for the genuine concern. I want to know how you're doing. I want to be there for you. I like you. You like me. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity for a high degree of intimacy on a very quick time. Very often, the relationships that I have in this, I feel would have taken many years to get to this level of intimacy. And I think a lot of that is because we are open, not only sexually, but announcing our feelings, saying that, I really like you, I like hanging out with you.
Yeah. I think it's amazing. Like, I just thinking about the party as well. And it was one of our beautiful, lovely girlfriends' birthday, and one of her partners, her primary partner, was trying to organize it and got sick. And so he needed some help at the very last minute. And he called on myself and one of her other partners. And the three of us teamed up to like get all the supplies, get organized, collaborate on this surprise part of the party. And I think that's just an amazing thing. Like, it's not, that, you could be with all these people that have basically had sex with your partner and like be friends and organize and coordinate things together. I don't know. I just think it's really, I think it's really cool.
But you're absolutely right. The level of love that I felt in that party was awesome. It was just so unarming, disarming, so disarming.
And maybe some of them are watching now. So, hey, nice seeing you. Okay, so that's having sexy friends is a good segue into number 3, is how to de-stress and prioritize fun and sexy times.
Right. So as you said, about the who, the when, and the where, one of the keys to this, especially during the holiday season when there are limited times available, is to try and plan in advance, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah, so let it be known what you have that are fixed items that are not movable, and where you have some negotiation, find out from the other person as well and see where the overlap is. Yeah. Are we talking like a what's it called, doodle calendar?
Doodle or Google Calendar. Doodle used to be the thing on how you could pick times. I don't know if people still use that.
Well, it might not be the worst thing for people who are polysaturated, right? So I want to see you, you want to see me, that's great. When? Well, what are you doing the 3rd February and Tuesday?
Exactly.
But if it's on the calendar, you might be able to go to it, which is one of the things, as you and I having this thing where we are often primaries or nesting, one of our best approaches we think that works well for us is that we plan in consideration. So not that we ask permission, but we let the other person know, hey, do we have anything on the books for next Thursday?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about going out with here, but I want to check with you, and how do you feel, and what do you got going on? That openness to invite is critical. It's wonderful. And I find that in the beginning, maybe I didn't go to it as easily. It was new to me. And to tell you that I wanted to go out on a date felt a little awkward. But now it's become very matter of fact. You tell me, I tell you. We like to spend time with each other. But if we don't have anything on the books, then we let it be known.
Yeah.
So it's cool. So plan in advance.
But I think with that comes the caution of not over planning, because the idea, sometimes the holidays can be stressful, especially if you're traveling around to see family, and family can also be stressful depending on the situation. So also having your not to do list, like the things that you don't want to do, and making sure you don't overcommit, and you create blocks of times for self-care, relaxation, where you don't have to be on that, holiday treadmill going place to place to place. So having some time apart.
Right. And some time to reconnect or connect, right?
Yeah.
So we have all these things going on. We have all the demands, we have all the desires, all these things. What about with the people that we do have established relationships with? How can we connect with them?
Yeah, there's so many different ways. I was doing lots of reading this morning, the Gottmans, and about how to stay connected with a partner. And they were talking about kissing often. And they were talking about the 6-second kiss, and make sure it's not just like a quick, kiss, but that you're actually taking time, at least 6 seconds, to kiss, and to kind of build that sort of, connection, eroticism, and, something that they said that might make someone watching blush. And we actually did that this morning.
We did. I didn't know we were going to do it. You surprised me. You came at me and started off very nicely, invited me to kiss you, and away it went.
Yeah. And that was a super fun way to start the morning. So maybe starting your days with some joy and pleasure is a great way to de-stress over the holidays. I think even if it's self-pleasure, invest in something that will give you pleasure. We always have some ideas, which reminds me, I still owe people the holiday gift guide. I haven't forgotten.
You better get on
it. It might be the Boxing Day gift guide, but we still have that. So we'll make sure we get that to you. So what do you do to de-stress over the holidays and prioritize sexy times? We'd love to know. I think it's important to plan something fun, over the holidays too. So if you do have a lot of family obligations or feeling like you're running around, plan something fun or sexy for either you and a partner or a group of people, so that you have something to look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. That is, in fact, one of the key components to happiness, is having something to look forward to. It keeps us invested. It's good.
Yeah. And we're super excited because some of our friends invited us for like a sexy Slutmas or something, I think it was called, Christmas, a holiday, New Year's Eve party. So that's going to be fun.
And they hand drew the invites. With wonderful things. Maybe we can share that later on.
I love it. I love it. And they allowed us to invite some of our friends. So now we have a whole group of us in Montreal, and we're going to have like a super fun time. So house parties, sexy times, prioritize those things so you can de-stress.
Yeah.
So that's
Joyeux Noël.
Yes. Exactly. So let us know. You can always drop your ideas in the chat. I'm sure other people appreciate what you think. And that's our main thing. So make sure, plan out your time, plan some time to decompress, and also prepare yourself for conversations you might have with family, and also prepare yourself mentally too.
That's good advice.
How you might handle those situations, what you might say, why, being polyamorous is important to you. Have your own little elevator speech. I think I have one of those. I think that I've sort of been working on. So.
Sure. And if you are not wanting to have that conversation yet, then how might you still afford to be present, but not feel burdened by all of that, right? That you can come out having survived it.
Yes, exactly. So, where's my list of things? Oh no, I didn't download it. Okay, so don't forget to mark your calendars for Jealousy Freedom Masterclass on January 3rd. So it'll be in this time slot, but in this case, it's going to be a VIP experience on Zoom. So private Zoom room where we'll be on and you'll be on, and you get to ask your questions directly to us. You'll also get your awesome jealousy workbook, which is super helpful to get you started. And then the second thing we wanted to share again is it's the last week before the holidays to have your relationship rescue call. So again, this is on a free call. On this call, we kind of work through some of the issues that may be going on in your relationship, what the causes are, and get you some next steps, which might mean get you started on your open relationship roadmap, which is sort of our signature thing that we have for our group program, but we'll get you started on that call. So
but that workbook is amazing. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
When you say VIP, I go back to something that came up. We were at the party and somebody asked if somebody had been to the VIP room yet. And somebody asked me if I'd been to the VIP, and I said, no, I prefer PIV. And they weren't quite sure what PIV was. But anyway, on that note.
Yes, someone had to tell them what it was, and then they were like, oops. Anyways, on that note,
Yes, on that note.
Have an amazing holiday. Let us know.
We'll see them again before that.
Yes. Well, Boxing Day. We're back here Monday, which is December 26th, which is Boxing Day.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of going to the mall, why don't you come and join us? We'll have another great topic for you.
Okay.
And definitely book your relationship rescue call.
Okay.
And mark your calendar.
Yeah. And when we get off this call, maybe you can tell me a little bit about Jesus and Santa Claus and how that all relates.
Yeah, okay, I could do that.
To know.
I can probably make something
Okay, I'm excited to know.
All right.
The mysteries revealed.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And we will drop those links right after. Bye.